The echoing forest. Deep in the heart of the wilderness lay a forest few dared to enter. Locals called it the Echoing Forest, a place shrouded in mystery and fear. Its most infamous trait? The way every sound seemed to linger unnaturally, reverberating endlessly until it faded into an eerie, unnatural silence. Despite the warnings, a group of 5 hikers, drawn by curiosity and the promise of adventure, decided to explore the forest. Each had heard the legends but dismissed them as exaggerated folklore. They were experienced hikers, after all, and had faced much harsher terrains. As they stepped beneath the towering canopy, the first thing they noticed was the impressive quiet, broken only by the sound of their boots crunching leaves. But even that seemed strange. The crunch echoed longer than it should have, repeating like a faint whisper. By midday, the forest seemed to close in on them, the tall trees blotting out the sun. The echoes grew stronger with each step, now carrying not just their footsteps but their conversations. A nervous laugh from one hiker repeated itself in a haunting, distorted loop, growing softer yet somehow more menacing. When night fell, the true horror began. The group set up camp, but the echoes never ceased. The crackle of their fire and the rustle of sleeping bags twisted into something unrecognizable. Strange noises, sobs, screams, and faint murmurs filled the air. At first, they tried to rationalize it, blaming wildlife or the wind. But the sounds weren't coming from any natural source. They seemed to emanate from the trees themselves. One of the hikers, a young man named Drew, became visibly unsettled. He swore he heard his name whispered in the echoes, followed by cries for help. The others tried to calm him, but their nerves began to fray as the hours dragged on. Then came the moment that shattered their resolve. Drew suddenly screamed, claiming he saw shadows moving in the darkness. His cries echoed endlessly, overlapping with whispers that weren't his. In the chaos, Drew ran into the woods despite his friends' protests. They chased after him, but the echoes grew louder, repeating not only their voices but words none of them had spoken. The forest wasn't just reflecting their sounds, it was creating new ones. When they finally found Drew, he stood motionless, his face pale and eyes wide. He was muttering to himself, but his whispers didn't match the words his lips formed. It was as though the forest had stolen his voice. The group tried to pull him away, but his body was unnaturally heavy, rooted to the ground. The remaining hikers realized the forest fed on fear and sound, thriving on their terror. To escape, they had to silence themselves. They muffled their movements and stifled their breathing. They succumbed to the temptation to cry out one by one. By dawn, only the forest remained, filled with endless echoes of voices that would never leave.